Okay, welcome again. In this video I'm going to talk about my martial arts background. I think that's a good place to start because although I was not born as such, with the martial arts, plugged into me like the Matrix, it wasn't like that. It was a natural process, you know what I'm saying, man? No, but literally, the martial arts though is, the foundation, the backbone, if you like, the foundation of me and my roots, especially to who I am today. And in many ways, I've said in the past that I was born with the martial arts in me, in a way, because not only was it like in the family, like in terms of, I do believe my mum, she had two fighters in the family, two brothers apparently. One was a really good boxer, and another was a black belt in karate. I don't know which grade. I do remember a mention of the karate guy having nunchucks, or the nunchaku, or shongjigun, it's called in Mandarin Chinese. But I mean, what I mean is, like, I do believe it was kind of always in me, as such, in this fighting spirit, in terms of being humble in myself, and never wanting to give up, no matter what was thrown at me. And I'll just mention briefly here, I've had a lot of crap thrown my way in my life, I'll tell you that. We've all been through different kinds of difficulties in our lives. But I'll just say this, okay? In these videos I'm making in this series, okay, which is the 2014 interview tapes with wushurichard, me. In this video I'm 31 years old, and in this series. So in this 31 years I've been through a lot. In terms of, I don't want to say I've had no physical abuse, because I damn well have, and I'll be talking about that, okay, in other videos, so check it out. But a lot of it has been mental torture, I will say that in a way, and I've been through, I'll call it that, mental torture. It's not like torture like some people have been through out there, but in my life I've been through physical, abuse, the way I see it, for years, and mostly though it's like mental abuse, okay, and the mental abuse has led to physical. That's what I will say, it's affected me in ways, in terms, when I say physical, I mean in terms of the way my being is, the way my character, my personality is, in terms of dealing with situations in the world, which is the very physical world we live in, right, reality. And that is what I mean mostly by physical. So I don't mean that I've been beaten and abused in that way, physically abused. Although I have been, when I was younger, as I say, I was bullied when I was a young kid in school. But then again, I've been bullied most of my life. But I've got so many memories, okay, of being, bullied, and then later on robbed, mugged. I've been attacked physically by people. I've had people put their hands on me and try to attack me. I've actually been laid on the ground and had bikes ridden over me. That might sound comical to you guys, but I've been through absolute crap, okay, in my life. So I know what bullying's about. But there were people growing up with, in primary school, and that people that, back in England, there were people that I knew that I saw getting bullied much worse than me in terms of the physical. I guess they were just in the wrong place at the wrong time, just getting beaten up daily, So I've been like a master avoiding as such, and not getting anything done in terms of winning in any battles as such, for the most part. But it's I've always come out with that, using the mind, and staying out of the picture before things got too bad. But I've been living in a kind of box. I wouldn't say the mind is like a prison as such, that I've been living in my mind like a prisoner, because my mind's always been open-minded more than most people, the way I see it. The people I come into contact with, you know, for the last 31 years, most people have not showed me that they've, you know, open-minded as such. The way I mean, some of these negative people I'm talking about. But what it is like, I put myself into like certain situations to avoid worse situations, and I've been kind of like stuck in a rut for a very, very long time. But nevertheless, winning and looking for the good in life. Okay, so let's take it back, Rocky style. Okay, so yeah, so my martial arts background, it's like this. Just briefly, I'm not going to go into too much detail in this video. The martial arts I've actually studied, like physically with a teacher, face to face in a class. I've never actually learned one style of martial art up to the highest rank. You know what I mean? Yeah. In terms of ranking, like belts and things like that. I've only studied like martial arts for like a few years for each style. But I started my martial arts training from when I was like, from when I was 12 years old, around 12 it was. And since 12 years old until now, I've been just training martial arts and studying the martial arts. The schools, as I say, the main styles I studied, okay, in order, okay, I will do it in order, was karate. I learned karate for 5 years. I'm not too sure which style it was. Sorry, 3 years, okay, not 5 years. I learned karate for 3 years, okay, and I don't know exactly which style it was, sadly. But it was at the Magdalene Karate Club. I learned with a great teacher there. I'm not going to tell you too many names, okay, of the teachers, especially in these videos, just for the of my teachers, because for the simple fact of respect, as in some teachers would not like their names. I've got reasons why I would not mention their names, but it's like, some of them are fine about it, but it's like, I'm just trying to, it's mostly from my point of view, it's like I'm trying to show you that I'm doing my thing, and that's what's most important. I've learned a great deal from some of these teachers in my life, but they just helped me, like, and put me on the path as such, in terms of what they taught me. That's what I'll say, I learned from them. So I learned karate for 3 years. Then I learned kickboxing for 3 years, okay, very good kickboxing school, renowned in England. This was all back in England, as I say. In the kickboxing school, we also learned some more self-defense. There was like special classes they did. I was like in the Kung Fu kind of group. They had like a Kung Fu class, they called it Kung Fu, but to me it was like a mixture. It was more like, it was still kickboxing, which I was doing too at the time. It was in one school. So I did karate for 3 years, then I went to a kickboxing school, and in the kickboxing school we had other classes too, such as I say, it was called Kung Fu, but it was like, to me it just seemed like karate mixed with some like basic self-defense and other kinds of movements and katas and forms and things like that. But it was real deal. I mean, it was hardcore in terms of sparring and everything. I'm not going to go into too much detail, okay, in this video. I will talk to you more like in other videos. So, kickboxing. Then later on I did 3 years of 5 animal kung fu, where with my first teacher, who was Chinese origin, and he was the first kind of like real master that I've ever met to this day. I mean, I really got so much from him. He was a deep philosophical guy, real kung fu, as in real deep root in his skill and power. We learned basic Chin-Na techniques, a lot of Qigong basic techniques too, but we learned 5 animal kung fu and southern Shaolin style like kung fu training. We learned some forms. We learned a lot of like, it was really like conditioning, like hand to hand, learning the actual training of how to apply real kung fu, not flashy showy stuff as such like wushurichard and like that, but it was like, you know, real southern style kung fu. we learn mainly, just for the record here, we learn mainly crane and tiger. So that's why you see me doing some like crane in my videos sometimes too in that. We also learned weapons with him too, weapons forms and also weapon application. Okay, so that's what I wanted to tell you briefly there. We learned southern broadsword, southern staff, okay, the long staff, the gun, the bow staff, if you want to call it in Japanese, but you know, Chinese kung fu. Butterfly knives, but not Wing Chun style. We learned, he did teach us some basic Wing Chun in the class to explain, so that's when I was like getting exposed to Wing Chun too, a little bit in there. As you know, Wing Chun plays a big part in my training now, a big part of it. But we also learned, as I say, the double sticks, which I'm a big fan of, and you will see me like teaching different techniques of double sticks too in some of my videos recently. That too. I want to share more of my weapons knowledge and all kung fu over the whole, on the whole, in terms of videos. So check out that as I keep banging them out in videos. But yeah, so we learn these double sticks, as I say. And when I say double sticks, I mean they were like that length, about that length, kind of like short sticks, but there were two, you know, and it wasn't a screamer or a cully or anything like that, or even like wushu kind of stuff. It's just like how to use these two sticks. And if you want to know exactly what I'm talking about in terms of two sticks, okay, I'm just talking about, have you seen Enter the Dragon, like Bruce Lee's Enter the Dragon, where he's in one part, before he picks up the wooden, you know when there's like that, when he's sneaking into the enemy's base and there's a snake, he chucks it over through the window, the guy goes through the window and he's sneaking around in there, and like before he takes his top off and that, and do you remember before he picks up that wooden plank and starts, I can't remember that, it's a long stick with a group of attackers, but there's, before he does that, do you remember he picks up two black colour sticks in his hand? They were like, I think they're probably metal poles, I don't know. Two sticks, and Bruce Lee's fighting. Another good example is Jet Li's movie Kiss of the Dragon at the end. In Jet Li's movie Kiss of the Dragon, where Jet Li fights a group of, you know, a police officer, a massive group of karate black belts, and he's wearing all black and he's using the two sticks. Well, that's the kind of fighting, that's the kind of like sticks I'm talking about, okay? So we learn different kinds of techniques, but the way I use the sticks now, as I say, in training, is that I apply all kinds of knowledge, what I've gained from like the Chinese styles and Japanese styles, and all kinds of kung fu and martial arts to utilise those weapons. But I love weapon training, as I say. I don't promote like weapons training as such in terms of saying you should carry weapons around with you on the streets. I'm not for that at all, okay? I don't promote that. But what I mean is learning the arts and the skills, you know, to understand and preserve the knowledge that's been passed down for years, and that's what we're all about, you know. That's what it's all about. Kung Fu for life. So I learned that, okay. That was that, okay. The Kung Fu. So karate, kickboxing with some self-defense, and then 5 animal kung fu and a little bit of Wing Chun. I learned formal training. I'm talking about formal training in England. All of this was with great teachers. I had a couple of weeks, just literally, I had 2 classes or so learning taekwondo. But you know, I preferred karate and the kickboxing in comparing with the different schools. I did also learn for a month or so some Wing Chun, okay, and that was, so in a way when you look at it, it's like my Wing Chun formal training is very limited, but that school I didn't feel was so good. They focused more on like leg stretches than the actual focusing on the hand-to-hand technique, which I found kind of ridiculous, because we were supposed to, because Wing Chun is more known for like the hands and not flexibility, right, and kicks and stuff. So, but we learned, you know, the basics. But as I say, later on in my life, I taught myself a damn lot about Wing Chun, a damn lot, by practicing and watching from videos and then stuff online too. And I've been practicing for years now, and I know damn well what I know about Wing Chun, and I know the power of it and what it is capable of, how good it is. Okay. So this is my Kung Fu background, martial arts background, just for you guys quickly, okay? I learned Okay, that was my basic background in England. Coming to China in the year 2008, I began to learn more Kung Fu in terms of wushu, long fist wushu, basics, like Shaolin long fist, northern wushu. You know, I learned a couple of forms, I learned some basics with a skilled teacher in the art, okay, here. Flexibility exercises too, and all kinds of that. I learned a wushu style broadsword and a bow staff. Okay, I learned a form with a sword and some not even half a form with the bow staff, the gun it's called in Chinese. But so I learned some weapon training with him and that. Okay, and that was that. It's the northern styles, but before I'd learned the southern styles. Just to go back just quickly, okay, previously I'd learned, as you know, some southern style Kung Fu anyway, as you know, and the 5 animals of this whole southern system, there was 5 animals within the training too, and what I learned before in England was snake, crane, tiger, leopard, okay, and it was supposed to be dragon, but we didn't learn much dragon. We learned a little bit of a southern mantis, and he explained the differences, some of the differences between northern mantis and southern mantis. Okay, anyway, as I say, coming to China though, I started to learn long fist wushu with another teacher. Okay, later on, I found another teacher, okay, a Chinese teacher that I learned with for a little while. I learned some bagua, it's called, okay. It's an internal style. There's 3 main arts in the internal. There's external and internal in the martial arts, don't forget. Internal focuses more so on the chi of the inner stuff, whereas external focuses more on hard hitting, and physical. But, the 3 main internal ones that they say, there are more, but it's Tai Chi, Bagua, and Xingyi. Right? But anyway, I learned some basic Bagua. I was already getting interested in Tai Chi and watching videos online and stuff and trying to teach myself some basics. But what happened was there were people in this park that I was following and watching when they were doing the Tai Chi too, and I was picking up bits and I was really into it. But this guy was teaching me Bagua, so I was learning Bagua, and I just learned some basics. I mean, the main basic fundamentals, like walking around the tree and standing there in your root, and learning how to have 8 different positions for the hands. I started to learn some changes and stuff, how to chain and flow and turn, but I didn't get any deeper than that to learn actually a whole form or anything, sadly. But I did try to watch some bits online and try to pick up some more bits online, or watching all kinds of videos. You get this wudang and all kinds of stuff there. But anyway, so that was that. The teacher was pretty skilled, I'll say that, and was good, and it actually had a pretty good. This older guy, he had a pretty good student too, which was a younger woman who was very flexible and very skilled. I actually saw demonstrations. I've been to martial arts demonstrations here in China and took part in them too, showing myself for a little bit on the side. But it's watching. Some of these people do have skill. Some of the stuff you see isn't so good, but some of the stuff I've seen, it has been pretty skilled. I mean, more than I'd ever see back in England. It's real Kung Fu, you know what I mean? More than I've ever. But I mean, you find good martial arts all across the world. But I mean, this was Chinese Kung Fu, practiced by Chinese people here, and it was really, really in the zone. It was really great to watch, and it was inspiring, and I wanted to learn. In fact, it was because of that woman who I saw in a demonstration, more so, that I wanted to find the person's teacher, and we did, and we found that person's teacher, and he agreed to teach me. But me, I just give it up. I shouldn't have done it because I was busy with work at the time, and it wasn't convenient to get down to the park at that time in the morning. It was too far, and I was going to work and everything, So anyway, that was that. So the Bagua. Later on, as I say, I went back and I was focusing more on the Tai Chi, and I was self-teaching myself at home. So this is going on to my self-study part now, okay? So what I'll do, okay, is I'll stop this video here, and this video is the formal training talk on my martial arts, okay? Last thing I'll say is the reason I got into martial arts in the first place was because I was getting bullied in school when I was young. My mother wanted me to be able to be stronger, maybe get out of the house, stop watching cartoons only on TV, get out, try to make some friends. She knew that I was like a quiet, timid kid, and I've always been, even to this day, I'm quiet. I'll say that, not dumb, but quiet. There's a difference. But, I stick to myself, and I can't understand other people. That's what it is sometimes, right? But I try to communicate with others, but when negativity's in your face, what can you do? Some people never grow up. So fuck her. Excuse my language. But my mother wanted me to learn, so she took me to this karate school, as I say, a karate school to learn. As I say, my family's English, I'm English, I was born in London, born bred, But it's like, I was inspired later on, as I say, later on I was like moving up, like through the kickboxing and that. I wasn't into kickboxing as such, but it was like, I weren't into any other sports, like football or anything like that. Like in England, people are into football, soccer or whatever. But I was not into it, at all. So I went to this karate school and I was like picking up the basics. But later on, coordination, it was like good training foundation. But I had good teachers as such. Pretty lucky. I was very, very lucky. I feel so lucky to have been brought into contact with the martial arts. For me, martial arts is my whole life. But later on, as I say though, getting to the point where I was like moving on to it's like the kickboxing and that. I was mainly looking for other martial arts and hardcore and good training. And I was looking for Chinese teachers, which are so hard to find in England, as in good ones too. So that's what I was doing. I was looking around, and then later when I found that 5 Animal Kung Fu master, as I said, teacher, see for sugar, whatever. But it was like the reason was because I was getting so hooked on the DVDs I was buying of Jet Li, Jackie Chan, and all the amazing Kung Fu movies out of China and Hong Kong. I've got a massive collection. I've been watching them for years, back from the 1970s stuff up till now. There's so much that you can test me, man. I've seen more or less most of the majority of Kung Fu films that's out there, martial art films, and some of them I've seen countless times, 20 times or so. I just love it, and studying the moves, and some people say it's movie stuff, and movies are different to reality fighting, but studying all of it, I mean, it's all real martial art, how you can physically train, the philosophies behind it, and the Kung Fu, I believe, is great for anybody. All martial arts, I'm saying, is good for anybody, mind, body, and spirit. But martial arts, I believe, should be used for health and self-defense, that's it. You shouldn't be going out there just trying to get into fights, and I'm not one for violence at all. It's upholding moral values and protecting nature and life. That's what I believe it's for. That's the power you can bring yourself to, in being humble and being strong in yourself. Patience, it teaches you so much about your life, how to walk a decent path, be more pure in yourself. So I'm going to stop this video here, okay? But as I say, I was very influenced later on by watching my great heroes in movies, the Kung Fu stars, and Jackie Chan and Jet Li and people like that. Sammo Hung, Donnie Yen, all these guys, it's just so amazing to see this spirit and physical power, the mind and body in action, how you can be humble and how you can train yourself to any level. You don't need to be the most biggest, toughest guy. I'm a pretty thin guy to see, and I'm not strong and such like that, but you can work with your energy and power, and you can do amazing things, more than some of these lazy people can, So this is my formal training, okay, in martial arts, as in face-to-face training, most of it, okay, here, telling you. See you in the next video where I will talk about my informal training, my training that I've done by myself, mostly at home, okay, and by myself studying, okay. So see you in the next video, guys. Thank you for watching.